Okay, so let's get started. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to be discussing genetics, inheritance or traits, DNA, and reproduction. Our main focus will be on human reproduction, but we will mention other organisms and animals to begin with and later on as well. To understand everything we will be doing, we have to lay the groundwork that lets you know the language we will be using to talk about these things. We start with the vocabulary and define the words we will be using. First, genetics. This is the science of DNA and genes. It is a blanket term that applies to everything that we to do with reproduction, inheritance, and how cells split up. So let's get started here. DNA. DNA is the molecule for the blueprint of life. You'll see this in the video. All living organisms on Earth are made from the same DNA. They have 4 different parts that have letters associated with them, A, C, T, and G. We don't need to go into detail about those, but you should know that this is DNA. It's the molecule for the blueprint of life. So that is kind of the definition of what DNA is. Chromosomes. Chromosomes are bundles of DNA. They give the code for different organisms. All organisms have a different number of chromosomes, and the chromosomes, the DNA in the chromosomes is arranged differently for everything. So the chromosomes that make up you and me are different than the chromosomes that make up dogs and cats or trees, but they all are basically constructed from the same 4 elements. So bundles of DNA are the that give the code for different organisms. This is what a chromosome is, and we're going to talk about chromosomes quite a bit when we start talking about how cells divide. Alleles and genes. These are parts or sections of chromosomes that determine or select for specific traits. So the genes are little parts of the chromosomes that we can look at and determine things like your eye color. So those are things like traits. Traits are physical characteristics that make us different. Our eye color, our hair color, the shape of your nose, how tall you are, things like that. So these are what traits are. These are physical characteristics that make us different, or make all animals different from other animals of the same kind. Tigers may have different stripes in different locations on their bodies, and leopards might have a different number of spots that are arranged a little differently. So we can't really tell the difference, but leopards can. So in time, we're going to discuss all these in further detail. So you will know these words. You will see these words often, especially things like alleles and genes and traits and chromosomes. These are going to become very important to us as we move on. So knowing what they mean to begin with makes it a lot easier. For example, you have 46 chromosomes. 23 come from your mom and 23 come from your dad. So your mom donates 23 chromosomes and your dad donates 23 chromosomes. So that makes up the 46 that you have. So those 46 chromosomes will make up you, 23 plus 23. Now, how those chromosomes are divvied up and the genes, how those chromosomes divvy up the genes to make you depends on which genes your parents share with you. Remember, they have 46 chromosomes too, each of 2 sets from their parents. So you might get your grandmother's eye color and your grandfather's hair color from your mom, who might have gotten one or the other, as well as you might get your grandfather's eye color and your grandmother's hair color, or you might get both from both of their grandparents. So those genes that they share with you have a lot of different combinations that they can share with. So this is how they create traits within you, and these are going to become more important when we start talking about how inheritance works. And that'll be coming up later on this week and into next week, and of course through the next 4 weeks, because that's all we're going to be talking about. All right? So that's to start with. Now go down and watch the video, the one on DNA, and answer the questions in the DNA video review. One of the questions asks you to find a simplified model of DNA and paste it in your doc. Just look for a simple clip art drawing and save it to your Google Drive, then copy and paste it into your document. This is one of the rare instances where copy and paste is okay, all right? Because I'm asking you to do that. So find some sort of a little image of a simplified DNA and just paste it into your document so you have an idea what they look like. Make sure you save that document, and don't forget to look for it after I've graded it in your assignments. All right, so next we're going to be talking about, or tomorrow, we're going to be talking about asexual and sexual reproduction, mitosis and meiosis, and how genes are inherited or separated. We're not going to go into a lot of detail. We just want to talk basically how these things occur and how they're changed. All right, so that's it for now.